And now it's time to go ahead and get into this matchup. Guys, this is a big game. So I'm gonna need I know it's been a long day, but I'm gonna need your energy because this is gonna be a good one. So let's go ahead and toss it over to our casters, Leafex and Lawler. Take it away, boys.
I don't think Golden Boy could say it enough. This is absolutely huge. Whoever loses this one is gone. They are out of this tournament.
They thought the pressure was bad earlier. Just wait for these matches. Best of 5 yet again. These guys are going to be battling it out for everything, determining it in reality for money. I mean, it's a big difference between these bottom and these top.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge.
Right.
And you still want a chance to fight to these finals. And at this point, it's just don't get knocked out. Right, so we'll see who's going to pull through, but Genesis, Mocket, this is going to be absolutely intense. Both these teams losing 3-0 on the winner's side and now down in the lower side. They both had some things to work on.
Right. Both are going to be scraping for a win, simply to boost that confidence, get some of that momentum going, and that's going to be the big role, is who gets that first win, I think, is going to really have an advantage coming out through these two teams. But both are very defensive heavy, especially with Pluto. You're going to see these guys contesting in the midfield quite a bit and trying to control that. Maybe Mocket's kind of an orthodox play with their bumps and their demos might help out, but you just never know.
Again, I mentioned it earlier, but a lot of misplays, mistouches coming out from Genesis. As long as they fix that up, they've worked through any of those problems. I think we're going to see a much stronger team, a team that's going to be able to break on top offense a little bit better. But then you have Mocket that is just considered a strong team. As you said, one of the top 3.
Yeah, they've been grudged as the top 3 in EU for a very long time. And trying to live up to that name, now is the time to do it more than ever.
All right, we're going to get down into it. It looks like Genesis versus Mocket. It's going to be starting up. Who's going to take it? This is it. This is do or die. Whichever team loses this best of 5 is going home. The winner going to get to move on, as we saw, play the Flying Dutchman as they move further on in the lower side.
Yeah, I'm looking at the stats, and statistically speaking, Mocket does have a better overall team, but when it comes to that one player on Genesis, Espeon shows up, especially in the clutch, seeing if he can secure some of those goals and get up high flying like we know him to. It's exactly why James Bond thinks he's so sick.
Especially sick. We'll see, though, already some attacks coming out from Mocket as Genesis caught on their back heel already. Pluto's going to have to get a good clear. He does get it past Turbo, but easy push back in from Pashy as we still see Genesis a little bit trouble on their defense right now, breaking up. But finally, Quinn does get one on target, almost in. Sicky keeping that one out. Now Pashy pushing back, only one defender left as Pluto and Quinn rush back. Espeon couldn't get it past Pashy, but they still have a chance to move it up the other corner as Turbo puts the pressure on Mocket, doing a very good job of making sure they stay on offense. Couple breakouts from Genesis, but we need some scoring opportunities. This could be one right here. Bump from Sicky on Espeon, but Espeon still going to take the shot. Doesn't go in.
Mocket being a defensive side, showing that very early. 2 people sitting back waiting, and now the counterattack. They have 2 back. 3 versus 2, they have a chance.
Instead of a play, they just took a shot, but it's easy clear. But now Pashy almost finishing it with the second touch on that one. Doesn't connect with the back of the net. Sicky trying to give them another chance, but Espeon high in the air to Pluto. If that connected, it would have been a good play, but Pashy was ready for the shot. Regardless if it connected, Espeon once again in the air, shot on target, but Turbo to the side. Pluto a little off on that read there, but he does manage to regain possession. They're getting some of the touches that they were missing earlier, and this is going to be a much closer game.
Yeah, battling back and forth until someone gets the momentum going. Expect that to happen. You're going to see these guys contesting very early and back and forth. And that's kind of the play. It's going to be a matter of like reading out each other's style until they find a comfortability and settle in.
Espeon showing good ball control, didn't result in any scoring opportunities from them, as now Mocket moves back on the attack. Turbo puts that back. Sicky not in a good spot to collect it. Finally does get it past Quinn, though. Quinn a little bit late to that one. Pluto stops that in track, so it doesn't roll in front of the net, but Sicky is going to try again. Out of position, doesn't get the touch. He needs to put it into the slot. Espeon reading his own touch off the wall. Gets that moving towards that orange end, and there's a shot from Pluto. Pashy keeping that one out with the nose of his car, going to roll it up himself as his teammates set up for an attack, all boosted up. Genesis going to have to make a move to midfield if they don't want a shot coming out, and a lot of back and forth. And we've seen both these teams look like they have stepped it up a bunch, but a shot from Pashy does get stopped out. Turbo is up to stop, expecting Pluto to go high, but Pluto goes low now. Espeon on the move forward. Sicky pushes it to the side.
Yeah, a lot of back and forth, early contest. The big thing that this Genesis team is going to need to do is try something unconventional. Standard shots will not work against this Maka EU defense.
Absolutely right, and we've seen the perfect examples of that where you're just giving away possession. Espeon taking it for himself, Quinn and him moving up. Good touch from Espeon, keeps that moving forward, but he gets bumped out, but it actually works in his favor as the ball slowly but surely makes its way towards Maka's end, but back to midfield. Pluto gonna have to do something here, but Siki out to Turbo. Demo from Pashy on Espeon, and that's what we know him for. A shot off the crossbar, doesn't connect. Minute 40, we've seen no goals yet from either Genesis or Maka EU. Pashy trying to be the one to set up a play, but Pluto sending that right back down into Maka's end as neither team getting many shots on target.
Yeah, Pluto playing that really smart. He had two options. He could either dribble that downfield with a waiting Pashy on him, or he could clear it long. Decides to clear it long rather than trying to fight the midfield game, and it puts the possession now on their side. It's a matter if they can control it after the fact is what's going to allow them to get a goal.
Quinn getting stuffed out by Siki there. Going to allow Maka to move on the attack, but Genesis takes possession right back. Pluto off the backboard. Turbo getting a nice touch back at the midfield. Espeon trying to intercept to put a shot on target. That could be a chance there for Pluto, but he goes for a boost instead. Espeon just trying to keep that play alive. The drop down going a little bit too wide from Pluto to Quinn. He just tries to keep at least some possession as they put on the pressure on the attack. A minute left. Still 0 goals from either one of these teams, but Siki trying to put that out to Pashy. Almost a goal from Maka as they have now turned the tides on attack there. Pressure coming up from Maka. Pashy almost pushing that one past the defender. Turbo getting in the way out to Siki. Siki doesn't get it past Quinn, and now Genesis potentially moving forward, but Turbo does make it past Quinn. Not Pluto, but Siki the pass. Quinn intercepting. Very smart to get in the way of that one.
Genesis is doing a really good job of getting these touches just to keep the ball away from this defending and attacking Maka team. It doesn't matter either way what side of the field they're on. They're just making sure they have a player be there first, and that's a big difference. Goal for Turbo Bosa.
Pluto passes that one out to the wrong team.
Yeah, Pluto trying to get on the wall, trying to make a play to his team, but popping it rather than playing it on the ground allows
what a shot from Turbo. Yeah, I didn't catch that one.
Yeah,
what a
shot straight on net. Probably would have been saved, but Turbo going to get to use the back end of his car to pop it up and over. And with 13 seconds left, that puts Genesis in a very tough position.
It is. They have 9 seconds to make a goal as we're so close this entire match. But it looks like Maka, playing so strong, are going to come away with this one. But the series is nowhere near over as Genesis was also playing very strong.
Yeah, very, very close game. Don't count Genesis out just yet. A lot of back and forth between these two teams. And now we talk about the adaptation game. Who's going to be the one that brings out the aggression? Who's going to be the one that comes in and really sends a message? Usually it's just one player, but if they can do it as a unit. For Genesis, it tends to be Quinn. Quinn's the one that comes up in the clutch, whether it be unconventional, like landing on the ball on accident and flying off into the corner and getting a goal, because we've seen it happen before. It's going to take one person that just really steps up and helps out their team.
Well, I mean, if he does show up, I mean, we've already seen Pluto and Espeon getting to that ball very quick. Right. Very good contest from them. And that's what's keeping them in this game. And if Quinn starts to show up hard as well, that's going to be a very hard match for Maka. There's only 1 goal, and just because of that amazing touch from Turbo, only a 1 goal difference right near the end, too. That was 0 scoring.
Right, and that's why I brought up that one player. So Turbo was that factor in the last game. That shot was directly at the middle of the net, and most likely it was going to be saved by Genesis. But because Turbo read the play and was there to help out, he was either going to bump the play or get a shot. Luckily, it goes off him and goes for the goal. So to give them this early lead, they're that much closer to moving on in this lower bracket.
Absolutely right. And well, we'll see. Again, you talked about adaptation, and all I think it is, shots were coming up from Genesis, and all I think it was just a couple posts there, here and there. If they connected with the back of the net, they probably would have had that series. 1 goal difference. This is going to be insane. I think we're going to end up going to 3,000-minute overtime in game number 5. Like, it's got to be hype. These teams, again, fighting to stay alive.
Yeah, back and forth between these two teams. They played it very well, but now it's a matter of how well they play under the pressure of a 1-game loss.
Game number 2, Maka EU versus Genesis, with Maka taking game number 1 by only 1 goal difference in the last 20 seconds of gameplay. We'll see how close this one is as well. Genesis already trying to put an attack on. Quinn and Espeon, as I said before, both up for that one. Quinn missing out on that, but that ball not going in favor. Too well for a shot on net from Maka. Pashy tries to take that one in slow, but Genesis takes control, but loses it quickly to Siki as he rolls that one up, and that's going to drop in front of the net. Scary spot. Turbo a little under it, though, as Pluto does get it to the side. As Mockett looking to make a quick attack and get an early goal in the first minute. Good pass up from Sicky. As Pashy gets up in the air, Turbo was up as well, but he does keep it forward. That's a pass in front. Pluto getting away with that, but another shot on net. Sicky to the far side. And the first goal in for Mockett.
Pressure causing people to be drawn out from defense. You see Turbo placing that in, and it forces their last man to play it back out. Unfortunately for them, Sicky is waiting there for that pass out, and he puts it right back in where there is no goalie waiting for it.
Always fun to have an early start, and we've seen a lot more scoring in the amount of time it took for the last one. Already we'll see if an answer can come out from Genesis to even this one up once again as they have lots of time. Turbo trying to get that one up front. Sicky does manage to get a weird pinch on that one to the net, but doesn't get a scoring chance out of it. As Quinn, Pluto, Espeon trying to move up the field. Genesis having trouble breaking out. This could be their chance right here, but a little bit too slow is going to allow Mockett to push it at the midfield and keep some pressure on for them. Quinn, a little bit of a miss there. Be easy chuck for Sicky back to midfield. Espeon, a good rotation to keep that one on, but now it's going to go back, and Quinn was not back. Chance for Mockett to score. That pass goes right out front. Espeon just getting in the way.
Normally you see Pluto being the defensive. He's tied for fourth in the world for saves, and yet you see this being second in North America. He's playing an EU team, and Espeon seems to be the one that's stepping up instead of Pluto. All members of this team showing such importance for their team.
Quinn getting a touch to push that onto offense. Gets a second one, but not past Turbo. Espeon is up. Pluto getting demoed. I saw Turbo seeking him out there. So they're not going to be able to keep the offensive pressure on. Going to allow Mockett to start an attack themselves. A little bit too wide. Espeon in the air quick. The follow-up from himself. Almost a third touch, too, as he tries to put this in front of the net. Quinn's going to help him out. Pluto's going to try to keep that going towards the net. But Pashy also gets beaten out there by Espeon. Espeon so quick to the air right now. Pluto trying to get that over to his teammate, but a little bit too wide. No shot going to come out from that.
Yeah, this is where Genesis needs to attack. That ball did not pinch out far. It's still going to stay on the side of Mockett, but their defense just seems to be such a problem anytime they get close.
Ooh, passing play from Genesis, intercepted by Pashy. Quinn and Espeon trying, but overcommitted. It's going to leave an almost open net there as they put it in, and they still miss. And Turbo just going to easy lob that one in there.
Capitalizing on the mistake. Sicky with a huge clear. You see Turbo taking his time getting to the way outside, and those two players, both Quinn and Espeon, missing. That's probably why Pluto stays back a little bit.
Well, of course. I mean, because everyone's missing right now. They can't be missing. They can't be missing. Two people going for that one. He left an open net, and another shot on target. Oh, Quinn just getting to that one in time. But defensive mistakes not be what you want when you're down 2 goals, and this is do or die, and your opponent's already 1 up in the series. Quinn to put this the center for a teammate Pluto, but a little bit soft. Leaves Pluto trying to pull into position. Mockett now back on the attack as they try to set something up here. Sicky taking his time to put it on, almost dropping it himself. Pashy a little bit short of that one. That's going to go back on their end as they reset. We'll see if Espeon can set a play on for his teammates. Quinn going to have to get a good touch on this ahead of Sicky, but loses out to him on that one.
The communication for Mockett has been so good. You know that he was already up for that pass, waiting perfectly for that pass for Sicky. Sicky just played it a little bit farther and actually went for the shot. Otherwise, it could have been a pass play. But still, they're doing a great job of rotating and making sure they communicate with the team.
Oh, man. The demos that were coming out, the aggressive play from Mockett almost resulted in the goal there. Sicky with a touch. Back to Pashy.
Oh, my goodness.
What a passing play from Mockett. Sicky to Pashy. Look at this.
Pashy setting that up perfectly, using the horizontal to get around a player, playing it back off the wall, and Sicky noticing that he's wide open after it, plays it right back, and then a beautiful angle from Pashy to secure that goal.
The impossible angles, but the impossible passes from Sicky too. Incredible touch from him on the soft side, and that's going to be 3 goals for them as Genesis now have to climb in a minute. 3 goals, going to be a difficult task, and you see Mockett just playing a lot slower and just waiting for Genesis to make mistakes, and that's why they're doing so well.
And then, exactly like you said, it's exactly what they need to do. It fits their play style so well, and when they can get that side of comfortability and are able to play their game, you're going to see stuff like that, minus Pashy's little spin-a-rooney there.
A little bit of whiff-a-rooney there, but a demo coming out, going to allow Sicky to get that one back on offense. As Sicky pushes that to the center. Turbo trying to get a shot on net. The soft side to the far side. Almost planting that top shelf. Doesn't quite get it in though. 30 seconds, 3 goals up. You don't need another goal, but you don't want to let up on offense, and Quinn puts one in. 2 goals. This is possible in 30 seconds, and they are going to have to play the game of their lives right now.
Definitely an uphill battle, but very well played. Espeon setting that up for his entire team, and they worked as a pack on that one. They all came down as a group and just overwhelmed this defensive market. They need to keep doing that.
As we said, 25 seconds left. Genesis going to have to be on offense hard right now and capitalize off this kickoff. Quinn trying to do that. Pluto almost gets his stuff into the net. Espeon going for the shot, a little bit too under. Almost drops it in, but a little bit off on his read on the bounce there. And Mockett pushing it back onto offense for themselves is looking to be very dire for Genesis, and that's going to be at Mockett taking game number 2 against Genesis.
Yeah, back and forth between these two teams. Mockett just showing how comfortable they are right now, able to fight back and forth between these two teams and doing just what they need to. They have a comfort, and I think that has to, kind of big credit going out to Pashy. Pashy is definitely one to rally this team. He's the kind of voice, the captain, the one that really shows the both benefits and negatives to their team. Like when they're behind, you can see the emotion coming through with Pashy, and he's probably the one that's rallying them right now to make sure that they stay on the mental game.
You need someone like that.
Right.
It's not just plain mechanically good. There is a lot of mental aptitude needed for this game, for any game really too, but to play
Correct.
at top level, you have to be in the right mindset. And if all of your teammates, or none of your teammates know how to keep you together, that's tough. But yeah, Mockett coming out strong. They're playing smart. As I said, they're just playing a little bit slower. They're watching their opponents well, letting them make mistakes, and then just capitalizing.
Right, and that works very, very well for them. It suits their play style. But now it's Genesis. Genesis needs somebody on their team to say, hey guys, we lose this next one, we're done. Like, they need to come to play. It's do or die.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to see if they can do it in this, as you said, do or die. I think we're going to see very, very aggressive, hopefully for their sake, Genesis, as we come into game number 3. Game number 3 of this, and if they lose this, they're out. That's it.
Let's see what they can do. They got one last chance, and if they can do it, stay alive, and then try to go for this reverse sweep, it's going to be quite the story. Let's see what they can do in game number 3. Mockett EU Genesis RLCS International Finals.
Let's go as Mockett trying to make that early attack. It always feels good if you get that first goal. See if we can do it. Pluto trying to be the one. Almost
my goodness.
Pashy just getting back in time. Now Turbo going to drag this up the field himself as they try to get a counterattack, but they couldn't quite get what they needed. And that's going to be shot on target. Sicky waited to see if Pashy could get it, but gets it himself in a good spot to put that to the side. And as we said, an aggressive already Genesis, but they just all spread out and leave that one for Mockett to set up a play. They can't be doing that.
Team mind game, I guess? I'm confused. Yeah, they had possession of it, and Pluto passed it across the field to Espeon, where it just kind of bopped the top of his head, but it wasn't what he was looking for, so he just backed up and got boosted and hoped for a defense instead. Leaving Mockett with that kind of opportunity is scary.
What is, you don't want to give any opportunities to any of these teams. This is the top 8 teams in the world right now, and giving them any chances to score on you, they're going to take it. Quinn with the demo on Turbo. Can they capitalize? Espeon back to Quinn. Quinn has a chance to get a good shot off the backboard here. Can he follow this one up? Turbo gets in the way to push it to the side, but Pluto there to connect. Espeon the follow-up, and there it is. The first goal on the scoreboard is in favor of Genesis.
Unconventional the way you're going to beat this defense. You see that ball hitting the backboard, but Pluto, rather than shooting it directly at Sicky, that ball takes off the corner, and Pluto there to follow it up. Very well played for this entire team. Espeon leading the charge as always, and that's what they need to do. They need to work as a unit. Otherwise, this Mockett's defense is just going to shut them down. Absolutely.
I think they're realizing it now. Espeon missing the touch on that one. Goes back to his own end. Pluto left against Turbo. Gets the far shot by Pashy. Far rotation keeps that going forward. Pluto with a nice clear. Puts that into the other end. Can he get a play started up? Patience from him, watching Sicky, see what he'll do. Taking a book out of their page right now. Espeon trying to set it up with Pluto. Pluto getting aggressive. There's Quinn to take a shot on net, but gonna go wide. They just need to keep this pressure up. The back pass from Quinn to nobody. Turbo's gonna be able to change the direction of this ball towards Genesis's end as they try to create an attack themselves.
Yeah, Turbo had a really, really good punish there for Pluto. He bumped him out of the way, being that last man back. Fortunately for Mockett, they're not able to put it up, but still, this defense coming up from Pluto, trying to do everything he can to keep his team with that 1-goal lead.
Pluto to Espeon. Espeon off the backboard. There's Quinn, the follow out of the soft touch. Almost dropping in the corner, but it doesn't connect with the back of net, back to their own end. But they are doing what they need to do to stay alive in this.
Back and forth as we see. But but you still see the defense and the pressure coming out from Market. And this is where Market may need to adapt. You're finally seeing this Genesis squad take it to him, but the presence of Market just seems to be intimidating this Genesis squad.
Shot from Espeon, almost in. Sicky keeping that one wide, and we're seeing a lot more successful aggression from them, but Pashy evening this one up. 2.5 minutes left, even scoreboard.
Yeah, Pashy's taking up the wall, not going for the aerial hit, but instead lets it drop and then beats Quinn to the ball as Pluto's still trying to rotate back into net. A really quick hit off that bounce, trying to show some power on it, and they're gonna tie this game up just under midway.
This is going to be intense. As we said, Genesis is do or die, and they are no longer in the lead. They have to get another goal. They have to, otherwise you're gonna hit an overtime, and that's a scary spot to be when you're down 2 in the series. Turbo with a shot, a little bit too wide. That's not gonna go in as Genesis tries to move the sword. Pluto feels backflip off the backboard. Pashy tries to get it himself, but Quinn does contest that one out as Genesis tries to move on the attack now.
Good pressure coming up from Genesis. You see them working up as a unit and chatting with each other. They're not following too close just in case, so they don't get tangled up, but still supporting their team with plays like this.
Oh, the back pass from Quinn to Espeon, and they're back in the lead.
There you go, exactly what they need to do. You see Espeon hustling downfield and gets in front of the ball so it bounces and goes back into the middle. What beautiful placement. Probably taking full advantage of player cam rather than the ball cam. Toggling it off to make sure he lines up that angle so it bounces back to his teammate. What a great pass from Quinn.
Again, and great shot too, as that almost got saved, but he had the awareness to put that to the far side. And now once again, back up in the lead on the scoreboard. Minute 40 left for them. They need to stay alive and not give up another goal. Scary spot for them. Pashy up in the air to drop it down, but good contest coming out from Genesis. It's going to allow them to try to move back on the attack, but Espeon loses control to Turbo. Turbo walking it past 2 to give it to Sicky. Sicky with the shot off the crossbar. No finish though, and it's going to be Genesis' chance to move back. One person on defense. Pashy contests it. Still moving towards their own end though. Turbo finally kills that play, but Genesis isn't done yet. They're still moving forward on the attack. Pluto gonna back out. Espeon puts that towards the net. There's Pluto with a touch. Can he put it on target? Almost. Turbo does keep it out. Mock it. Caught on the back heel. Final minute of gameplay. They're gonna have to make some moves if they want to tie this one up and not give up a set and take this 3-0. But Genesis doing everything they can to stay alive.
This is Genesis' game to lose. They're applying a wonderful pressure, and if they keep that pressure up, eventually someone on this Market squad is going to fall out of their defensive position and allow a goal opportunity. It's just a matter if this Genesis team can keep up that pressure with such a strong defense coming out as they go back and forth, and a shot. Beautiful defense by Pluto.
Almost in a couple redirects there, but it does get stopped out as they keep that back to the midfield. But Pashy versus Espeon, you do not want to be in a 1v1 situation with this guy. It does get the pass to Sicky, and he can't get it past Espeon, and that's still going to remain 2-1 for Genesis. 20 seconds left. Pluto with another shot on net. Quinn trying to stop that one away from Sicky, but Sicky does manage to push it to the side. Espeon keeping the pressure on. That's all they have to do for the next 10 seconds to get this win. Quinn, Lobdell trying to push this up the side, but going back towards the end. Espeon with the contest. They just got to keep the pressure up, but Mock it, trying finally to break it past midfield. Pashy losing control of that one. Turbo though, keeping that one in there. That's a dangerous spot towards the net. Quinn has to get the right touch over to the side, but Sicky keeping it alive, pushing it out front. That's going to be a shot almost. Pashy almost connecting. Pluto does keep it alive, and that is going to drop. Genesis does take a game. 2-1, they are still alive.
Battling for that game to stay in it, both teams. And you didn't see Market give up either, despite knowing that they were up 2 games and could have ended it there. They knew that they had the chance to close it out, so they tried their absolute best to keep that ball in the air and bring it back downfield, especially with that cross across the middle. Oh my gosh, so close.
And that's scary because what they just did at the end there was scary. And if they pull that out in the next one and they realize, okay, that's all we had to do. That's all we had to do. They're going to end up walking away with a win on that one. But Genesis starting to look good. They figured out what they had to do. They're getting passes, that back touch from Quinn to get that one out to Espeon.
Great pass.
Absolutely great play, and that's what they need to do. Stop taking shots at a net with a goalie in it. Get it around that goalie.
Yeah, they need to get all people involved, and they're doing just that, like you stated. They're working together as a unit. Espeon generally going to lead the charge, and then having someone, because both those players, Quinn and Pluto, can make those hits. Pluto's very good mechanically. You saw him with that backboard clear that he's so good at, where he comes up the wall and then jumps at it. Even though the ball's nowhere near it, he wants to be the first one to contest that because he knows what can happen from these other teams. So they're doing a good job to keep themselves in this.
But again, not to count out Mocket, they were still, as you said, still playing strong and still doing what they do. And if they keep that up coming into this next one, It's going to be scary for Genesis. Again, they're on the line right now. If they lose this, they are done.
Yeah, a lot of back and forth between these two teams, and that's kind of going to end anytime soon. It's just a matter if Pashy is going to be the one that comes up and does something about it, or if he's going to let his teammates get involved. Siki has been one that we try to generally keep a focus on because he is the workhorse of this team. He is everywhere, just making sure that Pashy is in an advantage position. I like to compare him to Turtle from Exodus. He puts and makes Garrett look so good.
Alrighty, game number 4, Genesis versus Mocket EU. As Mocket sits 2-1 in the series. Genesis, though, starting to look awake. See if they can get some play started up and win this one. A shot coming up from Siki early on in this game. But Pluto waiting back for a shot from Siki. That's going to go high and maybe should have contested that. Siki going to get the first one.
Such a hard shot to judge. Siki rotating back through as Espeon falls right in front of him, and he places that across Pluto's body. Pluto's just cemented. There's nothing he can do about that. He's just wiggling back and forth. He's like, is it? Okay, I'm up. I'm done.
You don't know when it bounces off that many posts. It's so tough to figure out. But Pashy off the wall now, seeing if they can get another one. Siki to follow him up. No play out of that one. Quinn does stop it in its tracks, but Turbo following up. He's eager to get another play started up. But I know Genesis is eager to get this ball out. They need to get it clear. Pluto can't get the touch he needs, but he gives it right to Pashy. Pashy gonna pass that to Siki. Siki with a shot, going a little bit too wide. It's gonna give a chance for Espeon and Quinn to move forward. Espeon now gonna roll this one up the corner, boost it up as well. Good position for them. Quinn a little bit too late to that. Pashy does keep that play from developing. Pluto stuffs that one out to Quinn, but Turbo takes control and sends it up to Pashy. Espeon very smart to get in the way of that, but still a bad spot. Siki has a chance to take a shot. Getting in the way was Quinn.
Yeah, very well played. Even though he was the only one back, he played that straight up just to buy his team time. And the mind games from Quinn. Quinn tried to go for the bump there. Look at this. Play comes downfield. Turbo hits that against the wall. Allows Pluto to put a shot right on that. But you see Quinn just trying to box Siki out and just not able to rotate out of the way in time to get the save. We have a tie game.
Ever since previous tournaments, I've wanted to see a stat for how many long shots Pluto has. That's his signature move. He finds an opening, he puts it in. I mean, help from his teammates there, but he gets so many of those. It's great to see, but tied up, as you said, only 1:30 has passed. Good passing plays coming up from Genesis. That's going to follow up his own chip into the air. Quinn's going to be left to try that himself. Getting boosted up. He does throw that down, but loses boost instantly as Pashy takes him off the pitch for a few seconds. Espeon going to move up and put the pressure on instead. There's Quinn to help him out. They could have a play started up here. Espeon going to put that out to Quinn, but Quinn trying to go for the demo. Pashy gets out of the way. Pressure still on, though, for Genesis as they try to get this in front of the net, but no third to follow that one up. We're going to remain at a 1-1 as Mocket tries to put this back down to the other end.
Yeah, back and forth. They're trying to get this cleared out, but Genesis doing a very good job of making sure that they stay in that zone, trying to shut down anything that develops. And so far, this Genesis team has been winning the possession game.
Siki with a long throw into the corner, but Espeon going to be able to contest that in the corner easily. And a follow-up from himself, a shot on net, but going to be an easy save for Pashy as he was ready and back for that one. But that pinch going towards the net. Turbo on his rotation puts that one back to midfield, but shot after shot from Genesis coming out as they are looking to win this one. 2.5 minutes left. Shot there from Pluto on target, but stopped out by the defenders. He just keeps possession, gives that over to Espeon. Espeon out to nobody. Turbo and Mocket going to be able to move this one forward and try to get a play started up themselves. Demo from Pashy on Espeon, but they don't get to take advantage as Quinn steals that back. Shot off the backboard. Good chance for Pluto. Soft touch. Not enough, though, as it gets stopped out by Turbo.
Great read by Pluto, recognizing where that was going to land, but still, Siki coming up clutch, yet again getting in the way of this team, trying to keep this game as close as possible as they're now fighting on this defensive side, hoping that they don't break apart.
We have Mocket, Lurkin, look at them ready for a play. Doesn't really develop for them, though. Pluto going to be late to the contest on this, but makes the read instead against Siki to send it right back down into Mocket's end. Siki to Turbo. Turbo misses that, can give Pluto a chance to get past Pashy, but he doesn't quite get it where he needs it to go, and Siki's going to take advantage and get up in the air quick, but a shot from Quinn off the backboard. Turbo forcing that one to the side to make sure no plays come out of that. Quinn just taking possession again. A very good job of keeping that on the offense for his team as they try to move this forward. Siki just being a nuisance finally does get that away from him, but Pluto rolling in, gets this. Can he get the pass out front to Quinn? To Quinn off the backboard, no finish, but there's Espeon, stuffs it underneath, and it rolls in, and now they're ahead. 1 minute left, Genesis up 2-1.
Beautiful play from this team coming out. Pluto with the softest touch, and Quinn not able to get it, but Espeon being that last man back, that is such a huge risk. As soon as that happens, they have a breakaway towards the goal, and if one player doesn't choose to rotate, that is it.
Well, I think they're realizing this is do or die. If he did not do that, that was a bad spot. They were still tied up, and they could be out of this if Mach had scored, but now they have the advantage. They just have to make sure they do not let it go. Espeon with a shot on target. That's going towards net. Pesci having to scramble to get to that one, realizing no one else was in net. Pesci up by himself. We'll see if he can get a play out to Siki. Espeon stopping that one in his tracks. They have to stay alive. 45 seconds left to bring this to a game at number 5. Pluto getting the clear on that. Pesci gonna try to collect off the ground. Leaves it for Siki instead of both Quinn and Espeon back. Good communication coming from them. Make sure they're not overcommitting to anything, but Mocket on the attack. Pesci trying to get a touch in. Almost Turbo getting control of this. Just pushes it to the corner to try to get another play. Nothing coming out, but Quinn stuffing that. Pluto and him moving forward. Pluto gonna take control, waiting for that one. Good patience from him as he maintains possession, finally losing that one out, but in the corner, 18 seconds left. And Mocket needs to get a goal right now. Here's Pesci up to himself. He's got to follow through. Can he get this in front of the net? He doesn't. It's going to go wide. Quinn keeping that alive, but Siki off the backboard. No one to follow it up. That's a scary spot for this ball to be. Pesci trying to drop it in to the side. Pluto does keep it alive. Still alive when we've seen the scary spot before. Can Mocket drop it in front? Espeon gets a touch, and that's going to drop down. Quinn's trying to get another one. He wants this, but it's going to touch the ground. Genesis stays alive. We're going to a game 5.
What is with these game 5s? This reverse sweep stuff is crazy. Like back and forth between these two teams, battling back to stay with it, and you can just tell Quinn is in the moment. He is so ready to make a play, but now they need to calm their nerves. They need to make sure that they just settle down. They need to make sure that they're not going to go overzealous and commit and then make mistakes. And that's something they haven't been doing yet. They've been playing very smart. You mentioned the communication. There was one player up, Quinn had the opportunity, didn't go for it, had someone else cleared out, it was in position to make a save. They're playing very, very smart Rocket League.
And now talking about the mental game, we see some of their faces. Genesis, a sigh of relief coming out after that one, but it's not over yet.
One more
And
match.
I'm sure Mocket's being like, what happened, guys? We had this. They're going to be on edge as well, too. Both teams are going to be very, very on edge for this next game, and this is going to be some intense stuff. Risks are going to be taken. One of these teams is going home after this next game.
It comes all down to this one game left. It can go for anybody at the moment, and it really doesn't, like, it makes it as feels like nothing else before this mattered, but it's a totally different story because momentum swings mental games. You can see it, like you said, on their face. You take a pan over those guys and they're like, what's going through their heads right now?
It's
got to be for us.
And again, back to communication, these guys are going to have to make sure they're on point with communication. Any mistakes are going to be the death of them. We have game number 5, Genesis versus Mocket EU. Who's going to be moving on to face Blind Dutchman and who is going home? Let's go right now. Pesci trying to make an early one, but Quinn, the good James Block positioning on defense there on the kickoff, keeps that one out, but Mocket trying for that early goal, and that will be a good start to momentum if you can get that early goal in the first minute. Feels good, but shots coming out from Mocket. Espeon keeping that one to the side. It all depends. There's a shot, though. That one's going to almost sink in. Siki just getting in the way of that shot from Espeon. But Quinn is not going to let up yet. Espeon with a very good touch there to make sure that stayed on offense. We'll see if they can keep it up, but finally Mocket pushing that forward.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because not only did that allow them to stay on offense and maintain possession, both their players were so boost starved they needed to go back and get something. Otherwise, any pressure that they had in the first place wasn't going to work.
Absolutely. Now we'll see if they can keep it up. Pluto getting aggressive on Siki, but nothing really coming out of it. Wrong time to bump, but could be a shot from Quinn as he tries to follow it up. I think he ran out of boost. The follow from Espeon, going to get a second touch. Shots coming out from both teams right now. We said we're going to see some crazy, risky stuff right now, and it's happening. Espeon going to keep this one up to himself. Very, he's so quick to the air. Every time, he's always to follow up every single one of his chips. But Turbo now with Pesci, one person in net, scary spot. Almost put that out of his own reach though. Turbo off the backboard. Quinn contesting that to the side. Follow up from himself, but doesn't get that touch. He needed Pluto. Put that on target. There it is. The long shot from Pluto. First goal on the scoreboard.
Yet again, he gets the bump initially, so the player rotating back isn't able to. And then a long shot, just like you said. And even if that didn't happen, Espeon just following it casually next door to make sure that ball goes in.
1-0 for Genesis. Lots of time for Mocket though, but you gotta know that they're gonna be talking hard right now. They're saying, guys, step it up. Because they had the lead in the series, and Genesis, the stuff almost going in. Pashy trying to keep the dream alive, but Pluto is going to steal that away. Siki losing contest there. Quinn and Pluto a little caught up. This could still be in favor of Mocket. Pass from Siki to Turbo as they try to turn this ball's direction around. They don't get an actual play out of it. Espion does put that to midfield. And good clear starting to come up from Genesis. While they're on defense, very good positioning from them. This could be a chance for them to move it out. If Pluto gets a touch, he does. This is going to be their chance to get an attack started up. But Pluto missing out on the read on that chip there. There's Espion to try to set it up. Quinn with a follow-up close behind. He's getting bumped around and he stuffed out. A little bit of a make-out session in the corner there with Turbo. And they're not going to be able to get a play started up as Mocket moves back down to midfield.
Turns out it works out in Mocket's favor as they're able to get out of that congestion and play it back upfield, but still, Genesis seems to be doing such a good job of reading this and putting it back.
Almost a shot off the backboard, but Pluto doing a good job keeping that to the side, a good clear, but no follow-up from that team. Finally, good push into the Mocket end by Pluto. He's waiting for a chance here. Goes a little bit under that one. Turbo's going to take advantage. Chip that back to midfield, but there's Quinn ready for that. Pluto, the pass over to the far side to Espion. Espion not in a good spot to take the shot, but off the wall. Can he pull out something sick? Just a little bit too wide. Siki going to take advantage to put that back on the Genesis end as they try to get a play themselves. Siki trying to get that pass out to Turbo, but doesn't quite get it there where it needs to be. Just over halfway, and Genesis still only up by 1.
Yeah, back and forth, and this is where Mocket needs to put some pressure. This ball is now in their favor, but it just doesn't seem to matter. Pluto's going to take this over, but the read, and Espion's there to save it.
But the pressure has not been let up by Mocket yet. They're still putting it on Pashy with the both steals as they try to keep this attack alive. Minute 40. This is going to start getting scary for Mocket, especially when they had the lead. Good touch from Siki out to the middle, but no one to finish it off. Pashy, Turbo, both short of that one. They're just going to try to keep possession. Pashy doesn't get it back far enough, gives it Quinn to Espion. The follow by, oh no, the self-bump, the team bumps from Genesis. Could have been a play to put another one in to try to solidify a win here. But now they're going to have to backtrack, and Siki Pashy moving forward. Mind games from Siki aren't going to work on Pluto. He gets that far. Little lob down to the other end, and Turbo sends it back to midfield. Espion high in the air. Can he get the follow-up, the dunk on Pashy? Not quite, as he does push it to the side, but Quinn keeping this alive. 1 minute left for Mocket EU. 1 goal separates them from being knocked out. This is do or die for Mocket. Can they get a play started up right now? Pluto keeping that alive. What a clutch touch from him.
I mentioned earlier how Pluto is one of the best goalies. He's tied for second in NA, but tied for 4th in the world for savings, and he's showing that right now. He is coming up so clutch to keep this Mocket team from scoring.
This is it. Approaching 30 seconds left for Mocket to make a move. Genesis looking for that reverse sweep. This could be it for Mocket. If they don't get something started up, they are going to go in. You're going to see hard committance to this ball and pressure in these next 20 seconds. But a shot from Pluto. Quinn almost to finish it. The nail in the coffin almost coming out. Espion putting that back out to the center. This could be a chance for Siki to put it up for his teammates. Pashy too far behind, but in the corner. Can they get the play started up? This is almost it. Turbo Polsa has to get something started here. Off the backboard. Pashy too late. That's going to be a shot out to midfield. If this ball drops, that's going to be a Genesis. The reverse sweep for Genesis against Mocket EU. Mocket EU is going home. And Genesis, what a comeback.
I cannot believe we have the first reverse sweep in the RLCS International Finals coming up for Genesis to stay alive in this tournament.
Holy pog jams. This is unreal. Genesis absolutely popping off there. They absolutely deserve that. That was nuts. I can't believe what just happened.
And look at this sportsmanship coming out from these teams, going over and showing how close of a game and battling it out, consoling this team, showing that they are fans as well as players.
That's what Rocket League's about, man. This is a community. We're in this together. We've gotten to this point together, and Genesis gonna move on to the next one to face Flying Dutchman.
You hear the crowd loving this. Getting a game so crucial to this, but then also seeing what this community is really about is what makes a Rocket League so special. I can't even talk, like I'm choking up now.
This is absolutely insane. This is what we love to see. RLCS, anything happens. We go down to Golden Boy, he talks to Espion, and see how freaking happy he is.
Yeah, he's got to be pretty happy.
I think Leaf is about to have a brain aneurysm, so bless you. I'm down here with Espion of Genesis. What in the world just happened? A reverse sweep? I can't believe it. How are you feeling right now?
My knees are shaking. It's like after the second game, we were down 2-0. Quinn was like, 1 more. And I'm like, nah, 3 more. And
So the entire time James was watching, obviously your mother supporting you here. I have now told James that I want to be your father. So this is what we're doing. I've adopted you. It's on Twitter. It's on the internet. Espeon, that was a huge win. Mocket, one of the best teams coming out of Europe. Now you move forward into the bracket. And really my question for you is, did you just need that first goal to really get you going? Because I feel like after you specifically got your first goal, you just went on a tear.
yeah, I think that's kind of true. I mean, I was kind of not feeling that confident coming in. And yeah, like the first series, Quinn scored, or he stole like my only goal. So what are you going to do? But I think that really did help. We knew Mocket was a defensive team, so goals were going to come hard. But after we started scoring, it really helped us build up that momentum, and we kept going from there.
Nice, nice. They kept going from there. Espeon, I know you want to go hang out with your team, so congratulations. Guys, give it up for Espeon and Genesis. They're moving on to the next round. Let's go ahead, toss it over to Espeon's proud mother, James Bott, and the rest of the analysts.
I am so proud of Espeon for staying in there and Genesis as a whole making that happen. We were sitting there, I was a little sad after game 2.
Yep.
We were talking how Quinn was literally the only player on Genesis to score so far in the tournament, and then they just kicked it into high gear. Espeon, especially Quinn, played solid all day long so far for Genesis, but really Pluto stepped up big as well.
Yeah, but I thought you would lose your voice from all the screaming during games 3, 4, and 5. This goal by Turbo was insane. Pashy had the shot, but it wasn't going to go in. Turbo had to get that tip. And games 1 and 2 were all Mocket. It was a very defensive series overall, though. Not a lot of goals, like 2 goals, and basically you could win any of these games.
Oh, that goal from Pashy on that angle was just a killer, but Genesis stuck with it. Espeon finally getting his first goal there, and things started to click for Genesis.
Yeah, and games 3, 4, and 5, Pluto really stepped up on defense. Mocket didn't get a lot of good chances right here, like Pluto with a great clear, then a great pass there as well. Quinn probably should have scored that, but Espeon powering through. It's like he was using Octane or something.
But really, again, Pluto, this long goal, that's what Pluto does, is just get those long-range goals. But he was playing so fast. Pluto is an incredibly fast player, but he wasn't doing that well at the start. He was playing with some nerves, but really started to pick it up and was that anchor in the back, just denying those balls, getting those long shots, and just preventing Mocket from getting any sort of offense going.
You gotta imagine the mentality for Espeon and the rest of Genesis. On the verge of elimination, you're down 0-2, you have to show up. It's now or never, and they did it. And it's one of the coolest things to see a situation like that happen. And then the question becomes, how far can they go now, right? So they're gonna be here tomorrow. They're gonna go have a nice dinner probably, maybe have a little meeting tonight and talk about their focus for tomorrow. They know who they're playing. They have a realistic idea of what their path is, so look out for Genesis tomorrow. But obviously, we gotta give a huge shout out to the MVP of that last match, of course, which is Espeon.
Espeon, no matter what happens in the rest of the tournament, I just want you to know that I am proud of you. You did it. You guys got that reverse sweep, the first one ever at this live event. And other than the Northern Gaming sweep of Mocket, I think this is the only other reverse sweep that we've seen in the RLCS. So.
Yeah, plus both 4 seeds that everyone thought, they'd probably be out day 1. They're both alive in day 2, both in the lower bracket, but it just goes to show that a LAN environment is completely different from playing online.
Well, we're getting close to closing out the day. The next match will be the last one for today, but we'll be right back here tomorrow. It's going to be Flipside versus Kings of Urban, and these are 2 teams we all were thinking would still kind of be alive and kicking in the winter bracket. 2 heavy favorites. Tough matchup for Flipside in the first round going up against Ironpower Cosmic, but that should be a delight of a match. Certainly plenty of fireworks will be produced. So don't go anywhere. You're watching the RLCS International Final. We're live from Hollywood. Be right back.